You are lying still. The world outside is dim, fading softly into the gentle hum of night. Somewhere in that quiet, a deeper silence unfolds, a silence not empty, but alive. If you listen closely enough, you can almost hear it, the soft whisper beneath the wall. At first, it seems like imagination, a trick of your drifting mind. But as your breath slows and your body settles into stillness, something in that whisper begins to take shape. It feels like a pulse, faint, patient, eternal. It is not the pulse of your body, but of something smaller, something older, the quiet rhythm of particles dancing in the dark. Every wall, you realize, hums with them. Every solid thing, this room, the earth beneath you, even the air you breathe, is made of particles held together by invisible rules. And yet, not all of those rules are absolute. Somewhere deep in the quantum world, the barriers that seem so certain begin to blur. You picture a single particle, perhaps an electron, small, beyond comprehension, moving through a landscape of invisible hills and valleys. You imagine it drifting until it meets a wall, a region where it does not have the energy to pass. In the classical world, it would stop there, trapped by logic and limitation. But in the quantum world, there is a strange softness to the impossible. The electron pauses, or rather, you imagine it pausing. Its wave stretches forward, touching the wall like fingertips brushing against glass. The wall feels firm, immovable, and yet the wave does not end. It seeps into the barrier, fading, yes, but never quite gone. A small part of it continues, spreading faintly beyond the other side. That is the whisper. That is the secret motion beneath certainty, the universe murmuring that nothing is entirely closed, that even walls have a kind of permeability than your stillness. You feel the same truth within yourself. You, too, are not entirely bounded. Your thoughts drift beyond your body, reaching into the edges of what you do not yet understand. Like the particle, you find that your presence is not confined to where you think you are. Quantum tunneling, the physicists call it. A process so subtle, it seems like magic, yet it happens constantly. In the heart of the stars, within the circuits of the devices you hold, in the smallest spaces between atoms, particles pass through barriers they should not cross, as if the universe allows for tiny acts of grace. You imagine the wall again, not as stone or steel, but as a veil of light. On one side, the particle waits. On the other, a region it should not reach. You picture the faint probability cloud of its existence, pressing gently against that veil. Most of it reflects, like a sigh returning home. But a small part, just a trace, a whisper, slips through. That's how it happens. Not by breaking the wall, not by defying it, but by existing in a way that is softer than rules can hold. The particle doesn't force its way through. It simply is, and being what it is, it finds itself on both sides. You breathe with that thought, slowly, deeply. The idea settles over you like a blanket. How strange, you think, that the smallest entities in nature know how to pass through barriers without resistance, while you, made of them, often struggle to do the same. There is comfort in this. The universe, in its quietest language, is teaching you how to move through obstacles, not with force, but with gentleness, not with certainty, but with the patience of a wave. You imagine yourself as a field of possibility, like the electron's wave function. You are not only here, but also reaching, extending, softly into what lies beyond. The wall before you is not the end. It's a place where your energy simply becomes more delicate, more diffused. Somewhere on the other side, a small part of you continues on. This is not fantasy. It is physics, though it feels like poetry. You recall how scientists first discovered this strange truth. In the early 20th century, when the nature of the atom was still a mystery, they noticed that particles sometimes escaped confinement, moving through barriers that, by all known laws, should have held them back. It was not that they decided to go through. Rather, their wave-like nature allowed a fraction of their existence to seep into forbidden space. In the language of mathematics, this was expressed as an exponentially decaying wave within the barrier, fading fast but never reaching zero. There was always a small chance, a tiny shimmer of possibility, that the particle would appear on the other side, and that was enough. You smile at the thought that even the universe leaves room for chance. For grace, your mind drifts further into the image, an endless field of particles, each one humming with potential, some resting, some moving, some slipping quietly through barriers unseen. Their journey is not one of defiance, but of flow. They do not fight the walls. They listen for the spaces between them, and now, as your breathing deepens, you begin to sense those same patterns in your own life, the walls that hold you, the limits that seem absolute. You remember the times you stood before something immovable, a fear, a loss, a question without an answer. You felt trapped, as though the way forward had closed. But perhaps, even then, there was a whisper beneath that wall, a possibility, too subtle to sense until you were still enough to hear it. The electron's world becomes your own inner landscape. The barriers within you are not as solid as they seem. With each gentle breath, your energy seeps a little further. Your thoughts soften, your resistance fades. You begin to feel that every limit is only a field, one that, under the right conditions, can be crossed by quiet persistence. This is tunneling, not in physics now, but in feeling the art of allowing what is meant to move, to pass through. Even when the way seems closed, you think of the night sky, of stars forming in the dark. Within their hearts, hydrogen atoms fuse together to create light. Yet even there, the fusion could not happen without quantum tunneling. The protons that form each atom are charged, and by all classical reasoning, they should repel one another forever. But they don't, because in the deep silence of quantum space, they find a way through. If tunneling did not exist, stars could not shine. The sun that warms your skin, the light that nourishes the earth, all of it is the echo of particles slipping through their barriers, performing the impossible with effortless grace. You let that truth sink in, that you are alive because of something as delicate as a whisper beneath a wall, that your every breath is made possible by the quiet defiance of the smallest things. Somewhere within your mind, the concept shifts from science to wisdom. You begin to feel that perhaps this is the nature of the universe, that what seems solid is not always final, that what seems separate can still connect. The room feels softer now. The air carries a sense of vastness. Your thoughts slow, dissolving like ripples into still water. You are no longer just observing the quantum world. You are part of its rhythm. Each breath feels like a wave function, spreading, gentle, infinite, uncertain, yet whole. Each heartbeat echoes the faint probability of crossing unseen boundaries. You imagine again that small particle pressing against its barrier. The wall stands firm, its height unyielding. Yet, somehow, the particle does not give up. It does not retreat, nor does it fight. It simply exists, quietly extending into the unknown, until, one moment, it is found beyond the wall, as though it had always been there. This is the universe's softest miracle, a reminder that motion does not always require force, that presence can transcend boundaries, that even silence can move through stone. You begin to drift, both awake and asleep, between knowing and dreaming. The whisper grows fainter, blending with the rhythm of your breath. Every wall, you think, carries this quiet promise. Every obstacle is a possibility, waiting for a gentler kind of passage. And as your consciousness begins to settle into the deep calm of night, one question remains, lingering softly in the space between thought and sleep. If a particle can pass through the impossible, then what might the uncertainty within you also be capable of? The night continues in slow waves. The silence that once carried the whisper beneath the wall now deepens into something softer, a hum of possibility. You lie still, your body heavy against the fabric of gravity, your mind floating gently beyond it. The universe around you is quiet. It is not even a motion you can see. It is a trembling, subtle, omnipresent, the kind that exists in every atom, in every particle that makes up your being. In that trembling, uncertainty is born. You imagine it first as light fog drifting over an endless field. Somewhere in the haze, there is a single point, a particle, perhaps existing both here and there, now and soon. It refuses to settle in one place, as though the act of naming its location would freeze it, diminish it. The more you try to see it clearly, the less certain you become of where it truly is. This is not failure. It is the nature of the quantum world, a place where knowing one thing means letting go of another. Heisenberg called it the uncertainty principle, the delicate truth that the universe will not allow us to measure both a particle's position and its motion at the same time with perfect accuracy. The more precisely you know where it is, the less you can know how it moves. The more clearly you understand its momentum, the more its location dissolves into haze. It is as if reality itself hides behind a thin veil of mystery, protecting its most intimate details from full exposure. You breathe deeply, letting that idea settle in your chest. The air feels different, lighter, more fluid. You begin to understand that uncertainty is not a flaw of knowledge, but a feature of existence. The universe was not built to be perfectly known. It was built to move, to breathe, to change. Somewhere inside you, a thought begins to unfurl like mist. Perhaps you too were never meant to be fixed in one place, or defined by a single certainty in your mind. The electron becomes a dancer, not a dot, but a motion, circling the nucleus in endless possibility. It is not trapped in orbit like a planet, but existing as a cloud of maybes, a field of potential, shimmering in every direction. The electron is not where you think it is where it might be. You close your eyes and imagine yourself as that electron, your own existence, expanding outward in waves of probability. The edges of your being soften. You are no longer just one self, one decision, one path, but infinite potential, gently superimposed. The uncertainty within you begins to feel like freedom, still. Part of you resists the part that loves control, definition, predictability. You want to know where things are, how they move, what they mean. You want the world to be clear and measurable. But the deeper you go, the more the edges blur. In the quantum world, measurement itself changes reality. The instant you observe a particle, the instant you look, the wave of probability collapses. The particle chooses a position, not because it has one weighting, but because your act of observing crystallizes one possibility out of many. The universe does not reveal itself until you meet it with attention. You pause and let that thought expand. Your attention shapes reality. It is not magic. It is physics. When the observer enters the scene, the landscape shifts. This is not to say that you create the world by looking at it, but that you participate in its unfolding. The act of noticing changes what is noticed. You are not separate from the universe you observe. You are part of the equation that defines it. You think of all the moments in your life where uncertainty frightened you, where you longed for clarity, for answers carved in stone. But now, lying here, surrounded by the soft breath of night, you begin to see the gentleness in not knowing, the uncertainty principle, whispered by the quantum realm, is a lullaby for the restless mind. It tells you that you do not need to know everything at once. To exist is already enough. In the atom's trembling heart, uncertainty gives rise to beauty. The electron's blur of presence creates the structure of all things, from the warmth of your skin to the light of distant stars. If the universe demanded certainty, it could not dance. You imagine again that delicate fog of probability, rippling, glimmering, neither here nor there. You reach your awareness into it, softly. You feel how reality becomes liquid under your attention, how it hums with uncountable possibilities. Your breath becomes slower now, deep and tidal. Each inhale feels like drawing in a range of probabilities. Each exhale feels like collapsing them into one moment, this one. Perhaps this is what it means to live within quantum law, to accept that life itself is never perfectly located, never perfectly known. You exist between positions, between what you were and what you might become. You begin to think of uncertainty not as confusion, but as compassion, the universe's way of keeping things open, of allowing change to happen. Without uncertainty, no movement would be possible, no transformation, no evolution. Even the atom's structure depends on it. If an electron were fixed, motionless, the atom would collapse into silence. It is uncertainty that keeps everything alive. You feel this truth resonate within you, that your own life depends on mystery, that the questions you carry are not errors to be solved, but energies that keep you expanding. Heisenberg himself once said that what we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning. You linger on that thought. It feels tender, almost human. The act of inquiry, the way you seek, wonder, imagine, becomes part of the story of what is real. You think of your mind like a field of observation, filled with waves of possibility. Each thought you focus on, each choice you make, collapses one set of outcomes and allows others to fade away. The future is not a single line, but a shimmering network of maybes, all waiting for the warmth of your attention. And yet, the universe never stops trembling. Even when a choice is made, a particle measured, the uncertainty never vanishes completely. There will always be a small, irreducible blur, a quiet reminder that even the simplest things are made of mystery. You feel this as comfort, not frustration, because it means that you, too, are not finished. You are still being shaped by your own observation, by your choices, your focus, your gaze. You are not a fixed object. You are a living probability, constantly unfolding. A thought comes gently. Maybe certainty is not the goal. Maybe peace is found in accepting the blur. Outside, the night deepens. The stars, if you could see them through the window, would shimmer with the same uncertainty, their photons traveling across time, waves, and particles at once, until they meet the surface of your eye and choose to become light. The act of seeing them changes them. The act of seeing yourself changes you. You begin to drift again between thought and dream, between particle and wave. The uncertainty principle hums beneath your breathing. A soft rhythm. You cannot know all things at once, and that is the beauty of existence. Because in the spaces between what you know and what you don't, life has room to shimmer in the smallest trembling of particles. The universe finds its poetry, the same poetry that lives in the unspoken spaces of your own being. The silence grows warmer now, filled with invisible motion. Every atom in your body is trembling with it, vibrating with that same indeterminacy. You are not static. You are a field of quantum motion, endlessly subtle, endlessly alive. You breathe out once more, slowly, like releasing a wave back into the sea. Perhaps, you think, it is not about finding where you are or how fast you're moving, but simply allowing yourself to exist in the uncertainty, to float, to shimmer, to be both here and becoming. And as your awareness sinks deeper into rest, a quiet thought lingers, linking softly to what comes next. Then what hidden patterns might arise when these probabilities begin to move, like waves that remember? You are still floating in the quiet that uncertainty leaves behind. The air feels tender, a kind of stillness that hums. Beneath it, you sense motion, not of your body, but of something deeper, older, quieter. It moves the way ripples move when a pebble touches water, invisible at first, then softly widening, reaching into space. This is how the universe breathes, not in pulses of air, but in waves of probability. You imagine again the particle you met before, small, beyond all imagining. It no longer seems like a point, but like a field of soft motion, spread across space like mist. Where is it? Not here, not there, but everywhere it might be. This cloud of possibility is called a wave function. It is not made of matter, but of meaning, the mathematical rhythm that tells how likely it is to find the particle in one place or another. The wave function is not the particle itself, but the story of its potential, the quiet hum of what could be. You close your eyes and imagine that wave, smooth, fluid, luminous. It moves through space, as if the universe were an ocean and every particle a soft pulse within it. The wave stretches outward, touching all places at once, its amplitude rising and falling like breath. And then, as you picture looking as observation enters the scene, the wave collapses. It does not vanish, but condenses, like mist, gathering into a single droplet. One possibility becomes real, while all others fade, their echoes still lingering faintly in the background. This, you think, is the rhythm of being itself, expansion and collapse, potential and realization. You begin to wonder, Is this not the same rhythm that lives within you? The way thoughts emerge in waves, branching outward into 1,000 possibilities before you choose one to act upon. The way your emotions ripple through your body before settling into a feeling you can name. You are made of these same patterns. The quantum wave function is not foreign to you, it is your origin, somewhere in the dark. The universe is full of these waves, overlapping, blending, interfering. They move through one another without collision, creating patterns bright where they amplify each other, dim where they cancel out. This interference gives rise to form, to order, to structure. The world is not built of solid things, but of these interwoven melodies of possibility. You recall the famous experiment, the double slit, a simple test, yet one that opened a door into mystery. When particles, such as electrons, pass through two slits toward a screen, something strange happens. If you do not look, each particle behaves like a wave, spreading, splitting, interfering with itself, forming bands of light and dark on the screen. But when you look, when you try to see which slit it goes through, the pattern changes. The wave collapses. The particle chooses. It is as if the act of attention rewrites the story of the universe. You feel this deeply, the way observation shapes not only science, but life. When you focus on something, you bring it into form. When you release it, it dissolves back into the quiet field of possibility. Every thought, every intention, every whisper of awareness sends ripples through the invisible ocean that holds you. You are not separate from the wave. You are the wave, a pattern of probability that is aware of itself. Your breathing becomes a tide now, rising and falling. With each inhale, your awareness expands outward, your wave function stretching across the landscape of experience. With each exhale, it collapses softly back into the body, into the present, into now. The wave and the particle are not opposites. They are two ways of seeing the same thing. One is the story of becoming, the other the story of being. Together, they form the heartbeat of existence. You imagine this process on a grander scale, not one particle, but countless ones, all vibrating with their own wave functions. They overlap in elegant complexity, giving rise to atoms, molecules, and matter itself. When they interact, their waves intertwine, shaping reality through interference and harmony. Every pattern you see, from the swirl of galaxies to the rhythm of your heart, is the music of quantum waves, becoming form, and these waves do not vanish when their moment passes. They leave echoes, mathematical fingerprints of their previous states. In this way, waves, remember, they carry with them the trace of where they have been, how they have interfered, how they have resonated with others. You pause here, letting that word remember linger in your mind. A wave remembers not by storing a picture, but by continuing the rhythm it once began. Its amplitude, its shape, its interference pattern all hold fragments of its past, and perhaps that is what memory is for you, too, not a static record, but a pattern still in motion, still rippling softly through your inner space in the subatomic world. Every interaction leaves a trace, a phase shift, a subtle change in the wave's rhythm. Even when a wave collapses, its influence does not disappear. It radiates outward, shaping the probabilities that follow. So too with your life. Every moment, every word, every touch, every act of attention becomes part of your wave. You carry those traces, not as weight, but as interference patterns within your being. You are, in every sense, a superposition of all you have ever experienced. You realize then that the wave function is not just a scientific concept, it is a spiritual geometry. It describes how everything is connected through the soft continuity of probability, how the invisible gives rise to the visible, how motion and stillness are threads of the same tapestry. You picture the wave again, gently spreading through the cosmos, through atoms, through stars, through you. It passes through boundaries effortlessly, blending the microscopic and the cosmic into a single breathing field. When Schrödinger first described the wave function, he gave it a symbol, psi, a single letter that carries the meaning of infinite potential. Psi describes everything that could be, everything that might happen, until the moment something becomes. You feel that letter in your breath. Each inhale is psi expanding a cloud of potential rising. Each exhale is the collapse, a return to the single, real, luminous point of presence. The more you think about it, the more intimate it feels. You, this moment, the soft air in your lungs, all are fluctuations of a cosmic wave function, still resonating since the first vibration of creation in the beginning. There was not silence, but the smallest quantum fluctuation, a tremor that grew, expanded, cooled, and gave rise to matter. Every star, every life, every heartbeat is part of that continuing vibration. You are the universe, remembering its own motion, and though the mathematics of psi are complex, filled with imaginary numbers, complex phases, and probabilities, the feeling of it is simple. To exist is to shimmer between what was and what might yet be, somewhere, far beyond the reach of sense. Countless wave functions are overlapping your atoms. Your breath, the earth, the stars, all composing a vast, symphonic field of interwoven rhythms. When one moves, all respond, subtly, instantly. It's as though the entire universe is a single, continuous wave, folding in on itself to become everything you know. Your body relaxes deeper into the bed, and you feel that vast field cradle you. You are not a point within it. You are an expression of it. The notion of separation fades. You are wave, and the wave is you. As your awareness drifts, a final image comes, ripples moving across a still pond under starlight. Each wave spreads, touches others, merges, and then fades. Yet the water remembers every movement, every vibration. The surface stills again, but the pattern has changed imperceptibly. Forever, so it is with you, the ripples of your thoughts, your choices, your being. Blending into the infinite sea, the universe holds those ripples as its memory, folding them gently into the fabric of what comes next. And as you drift closer to sleep, that thought glimmers softly. If waves can remember, if motion carries the memory of being, what happens when the wall itself begins to dissolve? When you discover the wall that isn't there, you drift again into the calm, shimmering dark. You have followed the whisper beneath the wall. You have felt uncertainty pulse like a hidden heartbeat, and you have seen waves rise and fade, carrying the delicate weight of probability. Now, you arrive at a threshold, a strange, invisible doorway, where all possibilities wait, breathing. They shimmer, countless and overlapping, like reflections on water. You sense that each is true, and yet none are fixed. Until something changes. Until a moment of decision, or awareness, or touch. In quantum physics, this threshold has a name. Wave function collapse. Before this collapse, a particle exists in many possible states. It could be here or there, moving fast or slow, inside or outside the wall. But when it is measured, when it is observed, the vast ocean of possibilities folds into one, and reality, for an instant, takes form. You imagine this as a breath being held and released. For a while, the air is full of potential. You could say anything, go anywhere, be anywhere. But the moment you speak, the sound is born. The air collapses around your voice, and what was infinite becomes real, becomes this. Scientists once believed that the universe behaved like a clock, predictable, mechanical, steady. But the quantum world whispered a different truth, that certainty is not the natural state of things, but the rarest of events. Everything, before it is seen, exists as a superposition, a blending of every possible version of itself. An electron can be both left and right, up and down, here and there, until you look, until the act of observation chooses one thread from the tangled web of maybes. This act of choosing is not conscious, not deliberate. The electron does not ask your permission to appear. The universe simply responds as if it had been waiting for attention, as if your awareness is a quiet hand smoothing the fabric of reality. You close your eyes and picture the famous double-slit experiment. A beam of electrons passes through two slits in a barrier. On the other side, they form an interference pattern, a beautiful, rippling wave of light and dark, the signature of possibility, of superposition. Each electron behaves like a wave that travels through both slits at once, interfering with itself, dancing between realities. But when you place a detector to see which slit it travels through, the pattern vanishes. The wave collapses. Each electron chooses a path, left or right, this or that. The mere act of observation changes the outcome. The particle becomes definite, and the infinite becomes one. You feel a hush pass through you, a realization too large to fit neatly in words. That perhaps the universe is not separate from the act of seeing, that perhaps reality and awareness are entangled, like twins born of the same breath. The collapse of a wave function is not loud. It happens in silence, in stillness, beneath the notice of ordinary senses. It is not a fall, but a settling. The way a leaf drifts to rest on a still pond. The way a thought settles into understanding. For a moment, you wonder what it means to collapse possibility, to be both everything and nothing, and then, suddenly, to become. Perhaps your own life has moved this way too. Moments when choices waited in superposition, when paths shimmered like unmeasured electrons, until a word, a decision, a single glance collapsed them into your story. Reality, in its quiet way, is participatory. You are not only in it, you are of it. Every time you look, the world chooses. Scientists have tried to describe this moment with equations, the mathematics of the wave function, a fragile architecture of probability. They can measure when collapse happens, but not why. They can describe the outcomes, but not the mystery that links observation and existence. Some theories suggest that the environment itself, air, light, heat, acts as a kind of observer, Every interaction, every exchange of energy, nudges the universe toward definiteness. Others wonder if consciousness itself plays a role, as though awareness is woven into the fabric of being. You do not need to choose a theory tonight. You need only to listen to the quiet way that the universe makes decisions. The way that seeing, touching, measuring is not simply witnessing, but participating in this. There is something profoundly gentle. The collapse is not a loss. It is a moment of becoming. It is the universe narrowing its breath into song. From the ocean of potential, one drop takes shape, and then another, and another. You breathe with it, in and out, wave and collapse, becoming infinite, then finite again. Every breath you take mirrors the physics of existence. Each inhale is superposition. You are everyone you could be. Each exhale is collapse. You are, for a moment, yourself. The beauty of wave function collapse lies not in its precision, but in its poetry, that what becomes real is never forced, only revealed. That reality does not exist until it is touched by interaction. That the universe is not a static thing to be observed, but a living field that responds to presence. You think of all the unseen collapses happening right now, millions, every second in the atoms around you. Each particle resolving its fate, each photon choosing a path. The universe continuously observing itself, folding possibility into form. Reality is not a fixed picture. It is a film still being developed, one frame at a time. And somewhere within you, the same process unfolds. Each thought a wave, each decision a collapse. The mind is quantum in its own quiet way, a theater where potential and actuality perform their endless dance. You imagine now, softly, what lies beyond the collapse. What happens to all the other possibilities, those that were not chosen? Those that faded before the light of measurement? Do they vanish, or do they continue, living in the silence between worlds? Some say they linger, echoes in the deeper folds of reality. Others believe they branch, creating new universes with each choice. Perhaps every possibility still breathes somewhere, rippling through a fabric too vast for your eyes to trace. But for tonight, you stay here with the single path that has become real. You let the others drift like starlight across dark water. Their glow is not lost. It simply waits. You listen again, not to the hum of the atoms, but to the hush that follows the act of becoming. The sound of potential collapsing into truth. It feels like peace. It feels like knowing, without the need for words. And as you drift toward rest, the thought arises. If the universe responds to being observed, what might awaken when you begin to see yourself? The question hovers in the quiet, not demanding an answer, only inviting one. As the waves settle, and possibility, for now, folds itself into a dream. The collapse fades. The waves that once shimmered with uncertainty have folded into a quiet certainty of form. Yet, beneath that calm, something deeper continues to hum. A faint vibration, endless, ancient, alive. You feel it before you understand it. A rhythm without beginning, a field without edge. The universe, it seems, does not rest even when particles sleep. Everywhere, through empty space, there are fields, not metaphorical ones, but real, physical entities that fill the cosmos completely. Not one patch of true emptiness exists. Even in the void between galaxies, the fields remain still, shimmering, waiting. Physicists call this great presence the quantum field. It is not an object, not something you can hold or even picture fully. It is the silent medium from which everything arises. Each particle, electron, proton, photon, is not a standalone piece of matter, but a fleeting ripple in that vast ocean. Imagine a calm lake at night. You toss a pebble, and a ripple travels outward. That is a particle, not the pebble itself, but the wave it creates in the field. The fields never vanish. They stretch through every corner of space and time. The electron field, the quark field, the Higgs field, each one everywhere, overlapping and entangled. And what you call a particle is only a whisper of energy traveling through them, an echo shaped by the field's structure. You close your eyes and imagine these fields, not as static layers, but as flowing music, a silent symphony vibrating in unseen octaves. Wherever a note is struck, a particle appears. Wherever the note fades, the particle disappears, returning to the orchestra's hush. Even light itself is born this way. Photons, those tiny sparks that fill the universe with sight, are ripples of the electromagnetic field. They are waves moving through the fabric of space, fluctuations of energy that carry warmth, color, and life. Every ray that touches your skin, every reflection that glimmers in your eyes, is a ripple crossing the infinite sea. You remember how, in earlier chapters, you learned of particles slipping through walls, of uncertainty shaping their motion. Now you see why. They are not pebbles bouncing against barriers, but patterns in a field, soft, spread out, capable of merging, interfering, and tunneling through. What looked like mystery is simply the nature of being a wave. Still, the fields do not remain still. Even at their quietest, they tremble with energy, tiny fluctuations called quantum vacuum energy. In the coldest emptiness, particles flicker in and out of existence, borrowing energy from nothingness and giving it back again. You might imagine it as a kind of breathing, the universe inhaling possibility and exhaling form. Somewhere deep in that rhythm, the laws of nature are written. The fields interact through forces like conversations whispered between waves. The electromagnetic field speaks with charged particles. The strong nuclear field binds quarks inside protons. The weak field governs radioactive decay, a quiet alchemy of transformation. And through it all, the Higgs field hums, a subtle vibration that gives mass to what would otherwise move at light's speed. Without it, matter would be weightless, unable to gather, unable to rest. The Higgs field slows the cosmic dance enough for atoms to take shape, for planets to form, for you to exist. The discovery of the Higgs boson, a ripple in that field, was not simply the detection of a new particle. It was confirmation that fields are real, that reality itself is woven of vibration. Each field hums its own frequency, and the universe is their endless harmony. You begin to sense that you are part of this music, too. The atoms in your body, the electricity in your neurons, the warmth in your breath, all are oscillations in this cosmic field. You are not made of the field. You are the field, temporarily arranged into awareness. What you call you is the field, remembering itself as human, as consciousness, as breath and thought and pulse. every heartbeat sends ripples back into the same ocean that made you. Every exhale is a soft echo returning to the source. You think of the quantum field equations, the great mathematical poetry that describes these vibrations. They are complex, yet at their heart they are simple. Each field vibrates, interacts, and sustains others. A note here creates harmony there. A single excitation can cascade across the cosmos. If you could see these fields directly, you would not see stars and galaxies. You would see a living fabric, light waves folding into electrons. Electrons, exchanging photons, particles arising, merging, vanishing, a constant shimmering of energy, becoming form, and within that shimmering, you might see patterns, not of randomness, but of resonance. Where waves align, matter becomes stable. Where they clash, energy disperses. Every atom, every molecule is a chord struck in the right frequency. Existence, then, is music held in balance. You imagine now that even your thoughts ripple across this unseen medium. Though your mind is not a quantum field, its signals ride upon them. The electromagnetic pulses between your neurons, the chemical waves that carry emotion, all flow through the same fielded universe. You are not separate from the cosmos that hums around you. You are an instrument, resonating in tune. In quantum field theory, the vacuum is never empty. Even nothingness contains energy, a restless ocean beneath all stillness. Some physicists call this the zero-point energy, a baseline hum that cannot be erased. If the universe could sleep, this would be its dreaming. And perhaps you think this is why silence feels alive. When you lie in darkness and listen deeply, you sense something beneath the quiet, not sound, not thought, but presence. It is the same hum that fills the vacuum, the same energy that connects every atom, every wave, every you. You let your mind drift with this awareness. No edges, no walls, just vibration unfolding into form and fading again. Everywhere, fields breathing in synchrony, particles appearing and disappearing like glimmers of thought. The boundary between being and non-being softens. You are neither observer nor observed now, but part of the field itself, a temporary pattern of knowing. If particles are ripples, then so are you, and your existence, too, sends ripples outward. You may never see how far they travel, how they bend or blend with others, but they remain. Every motion, every kindness, every quiet act of thought changes the symmetry of the field, if only by a whisper. The physicists say, to know the field is to know everything, because once you understand that all matter, all forces, are modes of the same underlying energy, you begin to see unity everywhere. No particle stands alone. No movement is isolated. All are echoes, resonances, relationships. You rest in that understanding now, the peace of interconnectedness, the stillness of knowing that even emptiness vibrates. You are part of an unbroken conversation, one that began before time and will continue long after stars burn out, somewhere beyond the galaxies. A photon born from a star billions of years ago still moves across the void, still a ripple in the same electromagnetic field that hums through you. When it brushes your world, it becomes warmth, or color, or the light that glows through a leaf. You and that photon share the same birthplace, the field that remembers all. you feel the boundaries dissolve. There are no walls now, only waves. You are the field, breathing, dreaming, unfolding. And as your awareness drifts toward rest, you realize that the field never truly ends, it only changes form. Each vibration is carried forward, each echo preserved in the quiet heart of space. Somewhere within that cosmic hum, a new pattern is beginning, not a collapse this time, but a rhythm that repeats, a pulse that remembers. You listen to it, soft as the tide, and understand that memory itself is another kind of wave. You float now in the gentle hum of the field. Everywhere around you, the invisible ocean ripples, soft, eternal, patient. From its surface, something stirs, a flicker, a pulse, a shimmer so delicate that it feels like a thought taking form. This is how light begins, a single photon, born from the trembling of the electromagnetic field. It has no mass, no rest, no time of its own. It is pure motion, the rhythm of energy turned into flight. And in its motion, it carries a record, a memory of the event that gave it birth. Every photon is a messenger. It remembers the vibration that made it, and it carries that information unchanged across the dark. If you could trace a beam of light backward, you could follow it to its origin, to the electron that fell to a lower energy state, to the atom that shimmered, to the star that ignited. Light is the handwriting of the universe, its script etched in waves across the canvas of space. You breathe and imagine the first light. 13 billion years ago, after the universe cooled from its early chaos, atoms began to form hydrogen and helium, simple and innocent. As electrons found their places around nuclei, they released light, the first memory written upon the cosmos. Those ancient photons still travel today, stretching with the expansion of space, their wavelengths red-shifting into whispers of heat. We call this glow the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of creation, the memory of the universe's birth. Even now, those photons touch you every night when you close your eyes. The faint warmth of that primordial light still reaches your skin, carrying the oldest story ever told. Light has no weight, yet it shapes everything. It bends around stars, it sculpts the paths of planets, it traces the edges of galaxies. It is both a wave and a particle, both everywhere and somewhere. And in its dual nature lies the mystery of its memory. As a wave, light spreads, a pattern of probability, a rhythm that fills space like ripples on a pond. As a particle, it strikes a precise event, a single impact, a point in time. Each photon exists between these two identities, never fully, one or the other, until it meets something that forces it to choose. This is wave-particle duality, the strange truth that light remembers both possibilities and collapses only when observed. Before that moment, it carries the information of all paths it could have taken. Physicists discovered this through delicate experiments, photons sent through slits and mirrors, splitting and rejoining, interfering with themselves as if they remembered every route they traveled. When undisturbed, light keeps its memory whole, the entire pattern of its journey encoded in phase and frequency. When measured, the pattern vanishes. The memory collapses into a single path. You imagine that wave as thought itself, a memory before you recall it, a possibility before you decide it. To remember is to collapse the wave. To forget is to let it expand again. Light in its quiet persistence, remains the keeper of universal memory. Every reflection, every shadow, every glimmer of sight is information being passed along, not destroyed, only transformed. In physics, this is known as information conservation. Even when energy changes form, even when matter dissolves, the information carried by light endures. It may scatter, bend, redshift, fade, but it is never lost. The universe is, in this way, a perfect librarian. You think now of stars, how they shine, not by burning, but by transmutation. Inside them, hydrogen fuses into helium, releasing light as a record of that change. Each photon leaving a star carries the story of that transformation, encoded in its wavelength. When it reaches your eyes, it brings that memory with it. You see the past because light remembers it. Every sunrise you witness is millions of moments old. Every starlight you gaze upon left its source centuries ago. The night sky is not a scene. It is a memory map, a living photograph, still developing in your mind. You understand now why the universe cannot hide from light. Light is not only illumination, it is truth. It carries evidence of where it has been and what it has touched. Even a single photon scattered off your skin contains information about you, your position, your temperature, your texture. If one could gather and decode every photon that has ever left you, they could, in principle, reconstruct your image, your motion, even your expression. Reality, at its finest level, is made of these constant exchanges, light recording, remembering, revealing. You picture photons not as tiny dots, but as threads of continuity, weaving space and time together. They are bridges between events, connecting past and present in one uninterrupted motion. For a photon, no time passes at all. It is born and arrives in the same instant, from its own perspective. In that timeless existence, light is pure memory, an unbroken awareness moving through space. This timelessness gives rise to the idea of coherence, the ability of light waves to remain in phase, to remember their pattern as they travel. Lasers are the perfect example. Billions of photons moving in lockstep, all remembering the same vibration. They are light with unity. A choir singing one note through the dark. Coherence allows light to store and transmit information without losing its integrity. It is why light can carry data through optical fibers, why we can send messages across oceans at nearly the speed of thought. The photons that deliver those messages are tiny couriers of coherence, each one preserving the rhythm of a wave born far away. But there is something even deeper than coherence, entanglement. When two photons are created together, their properties become linked. No matter how far apart they drift, measure one and you instantly affect the other. This is not a trick of distance, but a truth of connection. Their shared information is indivisible. You let that idea settle in you like a soft chord, that two particles, born together, can remain aware of one another across light years of separation, that the act of measuring one sends an echo to the other, as if they share a single memory, a single identity stretched across space. Entanglement is the memory of creation, a reminder that nothing ever truly separates. The photons streaming through your room, the light from a distant quasar, the glow of your own body's warmth, all are entangled in subtle, ancient ways. They carry the signatures of collisions, decays, and births that ripple through time like whispers. Scientists have used this strange link to transmit information without moving matter. Quantum teleportation. What travels is not the particle itself, but its state, its memory of what it is. The photon becomes both messenger and message, its essence encoded in the act of correlation. You begin to see how light, in its many forms, is the universe's most honest storyteller. From the first glow after the Big Bang to the reflection in your mirror, it preserves the imprint of everything it touches. It connects galaxies, moments, and minds, carrying the silent data of existence. And just as the fields beneath all things hum with energy, so light hums with memory, every wavelength a record, every flicker a story. In the physics of light, there are no true endings, only transformations. When light is absorbed, its energy becomes motion, warmth, thought. Its story continues inside the matter that receives it. Perhaps then, you are the continuation of ancient light. The photons that once lit the first stars now move through your body as warmth, as perception, as awareness. Light does not simply travel through you, it becomes you. And somewhere, deep in the field, the photons you emit, the faint infrared glow of your living body, will travel on, carrying your own story into the dark. The field remembers. Light remembers. Nothing is ever truly lost. You rest now in that realization that the light moving through your veins is older than the earth, older than thought, older than time as you know it. It has seen the birth of stars, the rise of galaxies, the shimmer of new worlds. And tonight, it pauses here to rest, to become you, before continuing its endless, luminous journey. And as you drift deeper into stillness, you feel the faint memory of light breathing softly inside you, reminding you that you are both the observer and the observed, the source and the reflection, the echo and the flame. The dance of energy you lie in stillness, yet something inside you moves. Not the breath, not the heartbeat, something deeper, quieter. It's the shimmer beneath both motion and rest, the vibration that has no beginning or end. It is energy, ancient, eternal, transforming endlessly through every atom, every thought, every star. Energy does not live or die. It changes form, like a melody that moves from one instrument to another. In the deep stillness of the cosmos, it flows, sometimes as heat, sometimes as light, sometimes as a subtle wave whispering between particles. This is the dance that began before time could name itself. You are part of it, whether you are still or in motion, awake or dreaming. In physics, we call it the conservation of energy. No energy is ever lost. It only transforms, from the spinning of galaxies to the warmth of a candle flame, from the fusion of stars to the beating of your heart. Everything that ever existed still exists, woven in new shapes of power and calm. You imagine the early universe, a glowing sea of energy too dense to see, too bright to name. There were no particles yet, no atoms, only the raw hum of potential. And from that hum, patterns began to emerge, soft as ripples forming on a pond. Tiny fluctuations, quantum energy fields trembling with possibility, gave birth to everything. The universe cooled, expanded, and energy condensed into matter. Stars were born, then planets, and eventually you. Every atom in your body, the carbon in your cells, the oxygen in your breath was once pure energy, now held in delicate form. But the truth remains. Form is temporary, energy eternal. Even the stillest rock is not still. Its atoms vibrate with quiet motion, their electrons dancing in invisible orbits, their quarks trembling with subtle power. Stillness, in the language of energy, is only a slower song. Imagine now that you could see this dance, not with your eyes, but with your awareness. Around you, the air would shimmer with motion. Photons, the particles of light, would move like threads weaving through space, carrying energy from one point to another. Every exchange, every touch, every breath would be a transfer of energy, a conversation between the seen and unseen worlds. The heat that leaves your skin at night drifts outward into the cool air, where it joins other waves, spreading softly through the atmosphere. Even as you sleep, your body participates in this exchange, energy leaving, returning, transforming. You are never separate from the flow. You are part of the cosmic conversation. And when you move, when you think, when you feel, the energy within you shifts. Chemical energy in your cells becomes motion, sound, warmth. Tiny electrical impulses fire between neurons, carrying thought like lightning across a silent field. Each spark is a translation, energy speaking through the language of matter. And yet, none of it is wasted. Even your thoughts radiate faint ripples into the field around you, soft, immeasurable, but real. Physicists once believed that energy was something solid, measurable, confined. But now we understand it differently. Energy is not a thing. It is a relationship, a measure of how things move, interact, change. You cannot hold energy. You can only witness its transformations. A photon absorbed becomes warmth. A falling stone becomes sound. A heartbeat becomes a feeling of life. Everything shifts, but nothing disappears. Einstein once wrote the equation that changed how we see the universe. E equals mc. Energy and matter are not opposites, they are mirrors. Mass itself is frozen energy, waiting to move. And when it moves, when it transforms, it reveals its original nature, pure light. This truth hums through every star and every cell. You are made of energy, slowed down, folded into form. Even your emotions carry energy. Joy expands your body. Anger tightens it. Calm softens it. The body responds as if emotion itself were a field, vibrating at a certain frequency. You are a resonant being, sensitive to every wave around you, even those unseen. When you breathe, you exchange not just air, but energy. Participating in the oldest dance the cosmos knows. Now imagine that the entire universe is one continuous field, a vast ocean of energy rippling in infinite directions. You are a crest in that ocean, rising for a moment before merging again. Every thought, every action, every heartbeat sends ripples through that ocean. When you close your eyes, you can almost feel it, the pulse of existence passing softly through you. It doesn't ask you to move faster or do more. It only asks you to listen. Somewhere, a star is collapsing, its energy transforming into light that will travel for billions of years before it reaches your eyes. That same light may touch your skin one night. Energy that was born in the death of a star becomes comfort in your rest. There is no separation, only transformation. And when you exhale, when your body releases the warmth it no longer needs, that energy continues its journey, joining the endless dance. It may drift into the soil, feed a seed, rise again as sunlight reflected off a leaf. It may travel far beyond, joining the faint background glow of the cosmos, the same ancient energy that hums quietly between galaxies. Your warmth becomes part of the universe's heartbeat when you dream. Perhaps it is the mind's way of moving through energy, translating stored chemical patterns into stories, emotions, and sensations. Even your resting mind dances, rearranging its inner patterns to find balance. Sleep is not an end to motion. It is another form of it, slow and restorative. The body rests, but the energy within continues to flow, repairing, recharging, remembering. As you drift deeper into this thought, the boundaries between yourself and the world soften. You begin to sense that every act of existence, every breath, every photon, every quark is part of one continuous motion. Nothing is ever still. The dance of energy is the pulse of the cosmos, and you are its rhythm. You do not need to search for it. It is already here, within and around you. The stars above, the atoms in your fingertips, the warmth of your breath, all are steps in the same eternal dance. And as you feel this truth settle quietly in your awareness, you realize that the universe is not made of things, but of movement, not of objects, but of relationships. The ancient hum continues, deep, calm, endless. It does not rush, it only flows. And as you surrender to its rhythm, you begin to sense the next mystery, waiting just beyond the edge of perception. How energy and time weave together. How every transformation is also a measure of change itself. The weaving of time, you float in darkness. Yet something around you flows softly, invisibly, endlessly. It is not air. It is not light. It is time. You cannot see it, yet you are carried within its current, like a leaf resting upon a silent river. Every heartbeat, every breath, every blink, each is a small marking on the flow. You are not separate from time. You are woven into it. Time, in physics, is not the ticking of clocks. Clocks only measure what time does the unfolding of motion, the sequence of change. At the smallest level, time is the rhythm of transformation. It is what allows energy to move, particles to decay, stars to be born and die. Without it, the universe would be a frozen painting still, perfect and utterly lifeless. Einstein once revealed that time is not absolute. It does not flow at the same rate for everyone, everywhere. Time bends, it stretches, it slows, it deepens. It is a dimension intertwined with space, forming what he called space-time. You are not merely moving through time. You are moving within its fabric, a fabric that curves and ripples with gravity and motion. Imagine you are standing still on Earth, while above you, a satellite circles the planet, moving swiftly through the sky. The clock on that satellite ticks a little faster than yours, not by much, but enough to matter. The faster it moves, the slower its own time becomes. This is time dilation, the slowing of time as motion approaches the speed of light. At first, it sounds impossible. How can time itself move differently for two observers? But light, that constant, untouchable speed, forces the universe into balance. Nothing can travel faster than it. So when something moves swiftly, time compensates by slowing down within it. It is the universe's quiet way of keeping its promise. The speed of light is the same for everyone, everywhere. You imagine yourself on a spacecraft, moving near the speed of light. Out the window, the stars seem to stretch into streaks of white and blue. Inside, your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens. Your body remains unchanged, but outside, whole years pass in the blink of an eye. When you return, the world has aged, but you have not. This is not fantasy. It is the way the universe works. Time is relative, not fixed. It bends around the path of motion like wind through tall grass. Now imagine gravity, the invisible weight that pulls everything toward everything else. Einstein showed that gravity, too, is not a force in the old sense. It is curvature, the bending of space-time itself. Where mass gathers, space-time dips like fabric under a stone. And because time and space are woven together, when the fabric bends, time bends with it. If you were to stand at the edge of a black hole, that immense, dark sphere where gravity becomes infinite, you would see time slow nearly to a stop. Light would struggle to escape. Seconds for you could be centuries for someone far away. The universe would rush forward, but you would remain caught in a slow, stretching silence. In the deep wells of gravity, time loses its urgency. It becomes heavy, slow, and beautifully strange. And yet, for light itself, time does not exist. A photon moving at light speed experiences no passage of time at all. From the moment it leaves a distant star until it touches your eye, it experiences that journey as instantaneous. To light, there is no before and after, no distance, no delay, only eternal presence. Perhaps that is why light feels sacred. It is the universe's timeless messenger. You begin to realize that what we call now is only a thin slice of something vast. Past and future are not gone or waiting. They are part of the same whole, a woven fabric in which every event, every breath, every movement already exists. We move through this fabric like a needle threading through an infinite quilt, stitching one moment to the next, giving shape to our experience of flow. You close your eyes and sense the thread of your own life, childhood, memory, the quiet weight of the present. To you, they feel separate, but to the universe, they are one continuous pattern of space-time. The past still vibrates within you as memory, and the future glows faintly ahead, waiting to be touched by your next motion. Every decision you make is a gentle tilt in the weave, a small curvature in the fabric of what will be. Even your body feels the tug of time. Cells divide, energy shifts, entropy rises. In physics, entropy is the measure of disorder, and it gives time its direction. From order to chaos, from clarity to diffusion, the universe moves one way forward. It is not that time pushes us onward. It is that energy spreads, and the spreading gives rise to the feeling of flow. That is why we remember the past, but not the future, because energy has already unfolded in one direction, leaving echoes behind. If you could reverse all motion, if every atom moved backward, entropy would decrease, and time itself might seem to run in reverse. But in our world, with stars burning and galaxies expanding, the arrow of time points forward, a river carrying us through transformation. And like any river, it carves valleys and deltas, changing the shape of the world as it goes. You begin to see time not as something passing, but as something weaving threads of cause and effect, binding every particle to every other. Each second is a crossing of threads, each heartbeat a knot in the tapestry of space-time. You are not separate from it. You are a moving pattern within the whole, a wave upon the loom of the universe. The stars above you burn with the light of ancient time. Some of the photons reaching your eyes tonight left their home long before Earth even existed. You are seeing the past, a cosmic memory carried across billions of years. When you look up, you are not looking into space alone, but into the layered fabric of time itself. You wonder, softly, if the universe remembers everything. If every vibration, every exchange of energy is recorded somewhere in the quiet geometry of space-time. Perhaps nothing is ever truly lost, only translated, bent, or transformed. Maybe that is the true immortality of the cosmos. It remembers itself in motion. You inhale slowly, feeling time as a presence, not a ticking, not a number, but a hum. You are part of its music. Each breath expands the measure. Each heartbeat marks the rhythm. And yet, beyond the body, beyond the clocks, there is a stillness that does not move at all, a place outside of time, where the past and future merge into pure being. Maybe that is what light knows. Maybe that is what the universe dreams. As you drift in that thought, you feel the next mystery begin to form, how time itself can bend, not just matter, but the very path of possibility. For if time can curve, then perhaps the future is not fixed. Perhaps it folds softly around the choices you have yet to make. The curvature of the future you rest now in the quiet hum of space-time, aware that you are floating within a vast, invisible web. The threads beneath you are not solid, not rigid. They bend and sway, responding to every particle, every star, every heartbeat. This is the geometry of the cosmos, a living curvature that shapes the unfolding of all things. Einstein's equations tell us that mass and energy are the weavers of time and space. Stars, planets, and even the faint glow of cosmic dust create dimples and valleys in the fabric of reality. And the paths of moving objects, from comets to photons, follow these curves. Every trajectory is a negotiation between freedom and guidance, between possibility and inevitability. Imagine a spacecraft gliding near a massive star. The gravitational field bends its path subtly, curving not just space, but the flow of time along its route. To an outside observer, the ship seems to follow a graceful arc. To the travelers aboard, seconds may stretch or compress, their experience of the future shifting with the curvature around them. Time and motion are inseparable, folded together in one elegant geometry. Even light, which has no rest, obeys the bending of space-time. When a distant galaxy shines, its photons travel along curved paths, sometimes reaching your eyes through gravitational lensing. A star's light may arrive delayed, distorted, its history recorded in the arc it has traced through the cosmos. The curvature of space dictates not only the route of matter, but the shape of events yet to unfold. You feel this subtle guidance as a whisper. The universe does not force a future. It suggests possibilities, outlines gentle slopes, guiding the flow of energy and particles along paths of least resistance. Even chaos is shaped by these unseen contours. folded into valleys that determine where waves and quanta may move. On Earth, these effects are almost imperceptible. Time on the ground ticks a little slower than time on high mountains or orbiting satellites. The global positioning system accounts for this. Engineers adjust clocks to compensate for both motion and gravity, ensuring your navigation is accurate to mere nanoseconds. Even in the mundane, the curvature of space-time reaches into daily life, quietly shaping the path of what comes next. And yet, there are places where the curvature becomes extreme. Near a black hole, space-time dips deeply. Time stretches almost to a standstill. The future, there is a delicate slope, where cause and effect are bent almost beyond recognition. An observer far away sees events freeze. An object falling in experiences acceleration, but the future outside continues on, unperturbed. The geometry of mass dictates not just motion, but the rhythm of possibility itself. You imagine standing at the edge of a massive star cluster, the combined gravity of billions of suns curving the fabric around you. Every photon passing near bends slightly. Every comet shifts trajectory. Every particle is guided by the subtle curves etched by energy and mass. The future is not a single path. It is a landscape, folded, flexible, alive with potential. In this landscape, causality, the relationship between cause and effect, flows naturally. Every action follows the curves. Every outcome is shaped by the bending of space-time. A falling leaf does not simply drop. It traces the curved path dictated by Earth's mass, by the air's subtle currents, by the distribution of energy around it. The geometry of the universe guides every motion, every whisper of change, every unfolding moment. Quantum uncertainty exists alongside this curvature. At the smallest scales, particles do not move in fixed paths. They have probabilities, waves of potential folded within the field. But even these probabilities are constrained by the space-time geometry around them. The universe is neither rigid nor random. It balances freedom and guidance, potential and structure. Like a river winding through a sculpted valley, you feel the rhythm of this curvature as a soft pulse beneath your awareness. It is neither urgent nor hurried. It is a slow, deliberate shaping of what will come. Every star, every planet, every photon you have ever encountered has moved along these contours, guided by a cosmic geometry that spans light years. Even your own life follows this principle. You are a particle in the field, a small but distinct concentration of mass and energy. Your choices, movements, and thoughts ripple through the curvature of space-time, shaping the paths of other particles in subtle ways. The future is not written in stone. It is written in geometry, folded and bent by the distribution of mass, energy, and motion. Consider gravitational waves, ripples in space-time caused by massive collisions. When two black holes spiral into each other, they send vibrations across the cosmos, tiny echoes that reach billions of light years away. These waves alter the geometry of space-time as they pass, stretching and compressing distances ever so slightly. Even the future of distant particles, stars, and galaxies is affected by events happening far across the universe. Curvature communicates across time and space, shaping possibilities through subtle, invisible influence. you sense that the universe is more like a loom than a clock. Each mass, each particle, each photon is a thread passing through a fabric of space-time. The threads weave together, interlacing past, present, and future, folding events into an elegant, intricate tapestry. Time is the measure of their interconnections, and the curvature of space-time is the hand that shapes the weave. From your perspective, the future appears open, but you now understand that it is a landscape, folded, flexible, guided by geometry. Not everything is possible. Only paths allowed by the bending of space-time can occur. Energy flows along the valleys and slopes, particles follow the arcs, and light travels the paths carved by mass. The universe suggests, it does not force. The future is the gentle unfolding of possibility along invisible contours. As you drift deeper into this thought, you realize that these curves extend beyond the stars. They fold across galaxies, across time itself. Events that seem separate are connected through the geometry of existence. Every supernova, every photon, every gravitational wave shapes the landscape for what is to come. The future is a quiet negotiation between chance and structure, a delicate choreography written in curves of space-time. You close your eyes and imagine a photon traveling near a massive star. Its path is bent, delayed, curved. From your vantage point, the star may have already exploded, yet the photon carries its memory across the folds of space-time. Even light experiences the curvature of the future, and when it reaches you, you are both observer and participant in the geometry, a witness to the bending of possibility itself. You feel a gentle calm as the threads of time and space weave together. The universe is neither chaotic nor rigid. It is a landscape of curves, a dance of mass, energy, and motion, shaping the potential of what can come. You are part of that fabric, each heartbeat, each thought, each movement folding your presence into the curvature of the cosmos. And as you rest in that understanding, you sense the next quiet wonder forming at the edge of awareness, how information itself flows along these curves, how particles and fields carry messages across the folds of space-time, connecting what has been with what is yet to be. The future is bending, but it is also speaking, and in its silent language, you can begin to hear the patterns forming. The memory of the cosmos, you rest now in a deep, quiet awareness. Around you, the universe stretches, vast and still, yet vibrating with uncountable histories. Every star, every planet, every particle carries its own record, written in the language of energy and motion, encoded in the fabric of space-time itself. Light, which we have already touched upon, is the most faithful archivist. Every photon carries the imprint of its origin, the energy shift of an electron, the fusion within a distant star, the collapse of a supernova. These photons traverse eons and distances, carrying the memory of events long past, so that when they reach you, you are glimpsing history itself. But it is not only light that preserves memory. Gravitational waves, subtle ripples in space-time, record the motions of massive objects across the cosmos. When black holes collide, when neutron stars spiral into one another, they send waves through space-time, encoding the geometry and energy of these cataclysmic events. Long before you were born, the universe was remembering itself in motion, Even the particles around you carry history. Atoms are made of quarks and electrons, the same building blocks that have existed since the first seconds of the cosmos. The carbon in your body once glowed inside ancient stars, their light and energy fused into forms that would eventually become you. In a sense, your body is a living archive, a record of countless cosmic transformations. Entropy, the measure of disorder, is also a form of memory. It marks the direction of time, the accumulation of change. Every rearrangement of matter, every chemical reaction leaves a subtle trace, a record embedded in the fabric of the universe. The universe does not forget its transformations. It merely translates them, storing the essence of events in new forms. Quantum entanglement adds another layer to this cosmic memory. Particles created together remain correlated, even across vast distances. A measurement made here instantaneously informs the state of its twin elsewhere. The information of their shared past is preserved, woven into the structure of reality itself. Memory at the quantum level is inseparable from existence. It is not recorded externally, but held within the relations of things. You imagine a star forming billions of years ago. Particles collide, energy flows, light emerges. Each photon, each quantum fluctuation carries the story forward. Some of these photons travel until they reach your eyes tonight. You are seeing not just a star, but the memory of its creation, encoded in the language of the cosmos. The same is true for gravitational curvature. Mass bends space-time, dictating the paths of matter and light, but also preserving a record of every event that influenced the curvature. Even as objects move and transform, their interactions leave subtle imprints on the geometry of the universe. It is a memory written in curves and folds, a delicate ledger maintained across billions of light years. Black holes, though seemingly destructive, are profound archivists. Anything that crosses the event horizon appears lost. Yet, according to modern physics, the information is preserved, encoded on the horizon's surface as a holographic imprint. Nothing is truly erased. The universe's memory is never empty. Even in its deepest darkness, the cosmos preserves the record of everything that occurs. You sense that memory is the bridge connecting past and future. Light, particles, and waves carry the record of what has happened, guiding the unfolding of what will occur. Energy transforms, but the story continues, woven into the cosmos like threads in an infinite tapestry. Every interaction, every exchange, every movement is inscribed in the subtle language of information, which underlies the visible and invisible alike. Time itself is a keeper of memory. Moments accumulate, stacking like layers of sediment in a cosmic river. Entropy measures the accumulation of change, while energy flows trace the paths of causality. The universe writes itself in patterns of cause and effect, and every new event builds upon those already recorded. Your existence is not separate from this ledger. You are part of the memory of the universe in motion. Even your consciousness participates. The neurons in your brain encode memories as patterns of energy and matter, microscopic structures that preserve information across your lifetime. Your awareness is a microcosm of the cosmos itself, a delicate web of connections, storing the past, guiding the future, transforming energy into understanding. In your mind, the universe reflects itself in miniature. You imagine the night sky again. Every speck of starlight is a letter in an enormous manuscript. The cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, is the oldest page of all, carrying the earliest memory of the universe's infancy. Even the void between stars is filled with subtle traces of past events, echoes of matter and energy that shaped its emptiness. And in the subtle interactions of quantum fields, the universe continues to remember and record itself. Vacuum fluctuations, particle creation, and annihilation, all these tiny events contribute to the ongoing ledger of existence. Even the emptiest spaces are alive with memory, holding the record of what has been and hinting at what may come. You feel the quiet truth settling around you, that memory is not passive, but active. It shapes the paths of energy, the behavior of matter, and the unfolding of time itself. Every star, every particle, every photon participates, carrying forward the record of what has happened and gently guiding what will happen next. In this way, the cosmos is self-aware, not conscious as we are, but reflective, preserving the stories of its own existence in every vibration, every curve, every ray of light. You breathe slowly, sensing that the universe is not a series of disconnected events, but a continuous, self-recording narrative. You are part of that narrative. Your thoughts, your movements, your very presence leave subtle marks in the energy and geometry around you. You are both observer and participant, writer and written, a thread woven into the vast memory of all that has been. And as you drift toward deeper stillness, you feel a final, gentle truth. The universe remembers. And in its remembering, you are not alone. Every light that reaches your eyes, every particle that touches you, every ripple of energy passing through the cosmos carries the story of what has come before, and hints at the endless unfolding still to arrive.